Our story kicks off in the gleaming metropolis of H-City, a place of big dreams and bigger skyscrapers. But the reality for most is a thankless grind where the life you want is just a drunken fantasy. It is a world where some people sprint to the finish line while others are left in the dust. And the deciding factor, of course, is just being born with a ridiculously wealthy background. Enter our main character, a kid who spends his time just admiring adventurer gear he cannot afford. He believes that if he just keeps working hard, he will eventually earn the right to wear that helmet. For now, his work involves taking meticulous notes on new equipment and its stats. With a critical eye, he even notes the new model's damage reduction is barely an improvement. At that moment, a young master and his bodyguard stroll in, complaining about rejecting trash applicants. A saleswoman offers a tour, but Mr. Important is on a tight schedule and just wants the best. As she shows off the latest models, our guy is still off to the side, lost in his research. This rich kid finally notices him and gives a look that could curdle milk. She explains he is just a regular who comes in to look but never buys, basically store decoration. So the bully saunters over, making a big show of pointing out our guy is a lowly level 3. A pop-up confirms the sad stats: 67 portal entries, 0 successful dungeon clears. Not satisfied, the jerk demands to see what our boy is even writing in that notebook. He then rips into him for playing house when he cannot even clear the easiest dungeon. Our boy is just stunned into silence, trying to process this completely unprovoked attack. When he tries to leave, the bully grabs him, clearly not finished with his little ego trip. He demands to know how he is level 3 with 0 clears, just as our guy's hand starts glowing. Oops. This bully's hand gets zapped back by a burst of blue energy as our guy yells at him. Utterly confused, the rich kid just stares, wondering if he even heard that right. Our boy clutches his arm in agony, realizing it is another one of his magic allergic reactions. In response, the jerk's fist starts glowing as his arm equipment manifests, asking who he thinks he is talking to, and with a flash of light, he blasts our guy straight in the chest, sending him to the ground. Standing over him, he calls him an arrogant spy who should be clearing dungeons instead of being trash. This saleswoman finally rushes over to help, pointing out that his nose is bleeding pretty badly. He just covers his face, insisting he is fine through gritted teeth and a glare. Mr. Moneybags then delivers a final threat to kill him on sight before demanding his shopping tour continue priorities. Despite her concern, our boy gets up on his own, still clutching that precious notebook. As he walks away, the bully decides on one last petty move. He will buy whatever item our guy was looking at. His name is Oh Chang, a level 3 with no profession, an adventurer in name only. We get a flashback to when it all began, with strange portals suddenly cracking open across the globe. At first it was just a few monsters, but the situation quickly spiraled into a full-blown invasion. Before humanity had to nuke itself, superpowered individuals emerged to fight back the hordes. This is how the adventurer profession was born. You get it by killing your very first monster. It is basically a gacha roll for your entire life, and a younger Oh Chang looks thrilled to get his reward. But he did not just pull a high-tier prize, he got something with even lower odds. Over time, the adventure world became a brutal industry where talent and money meant everything. For the poor and unaffiliated like him, you are not a competitor, you are just food for the strong. This powerful left a window for the weak, basically forgotten dungeons in abandoned districts. A team of high-level adventurers is already here, including a level 24 tank way overqualified for this area. And then there is Oh Chang, our level 3 hero, wondering if he accidentally walked into the big leagues. A couple of guys with pickaxes, clearly his usual crew, spot him and wave him over. He joins his buddies and they all agree it is super weird to see so many level 20s slumming it in an E-level dungeon. Convinced there must be some special loot, Oh Chang whips out his trusty notebook, earning a jab from his friend. Just then, a level 6 healer named Zia Kyan arrives, rounding out their low-level party. She is like, "Why bother writing when we will get nothing?" But Oh Chang is a true nerd, cataloging minerals and ecology. For a second, he seems to agree, wondering what the point of all this research is if they cannot cash in. But his resolve hardens, knowledge is survival, and he vows to become an adventurer who can actually clear these places. A sudden commotion makes both him and Zia Kyan whip their heads around to see what is happening. Oh, speak of the devil, it is Mr. Moneybags from the store, now in full glowing I am the main character armor. This gear dematerializes as he smugly announces it is time to begin. What a show-off. Oh Chang's eyes go wide, realizing it is the exact same bully from the equipment shop. Turns out he is the one who hired all the high-level adventurers, promising them free gear for carrying him. His gaze sweeps across the crowd and lands on someone he definitely does not like. He locks eyes with Oh Chang, and Zia Kyan instantly tries to pull him away, sensing trouble. But before they can make a break for it, a hand clamps down on Oh Chang's shoulder. It is the rich bully, of course, reminding Oh Chang about that little "I will kill you if I see you again" promise. Oh Chang tries to yank his arm free, shouting at him to let go, but the bully's grip just tightens, crackling with energy. This rich kid's eye twitches with pure, unadulterated rage. He grabs Oh Chang by the head, sneering that our boy really knows how to push his buttons. And with a brutal slam, he smashes Oh Chang's face straight into the dirt. Summoning a literal fireball, he threatens to end Oh Chang right here for the crime of annoying him. Then he has the nerve to ask why our boy is coughing up blood like he has just caught a cold. While Zia Kyan screams for him to stop, the bully just powers up, ignoring everyone's threats. His energy erupts outwards, sending waves of fire across the clearing and scattering the other adventurers. This little temper tantrum creates a massive explosion that has everyone running for their lives. An association officer steps in, but he just laughs it off, claiming his hands slipped. Classic. Standing over Oh Chang, he calls him a useless nobody and questions why he even bothers to live. Our boy just glares back as the bully offers to help him, which definitely does not sound friendly. Ziakayan rushes to help, while Mr. Moneybags immediately starts hitting on the safety officer who is not having it. His own goons comment on his habit of making an example out of the weak to scare everyone else. He then takes a call, handing off a special favor to a mysterious blonde guy in a red cape. One of the high-level tanks starts herding everyone into the portal, saying it is a safe low-level zone. Ziakayan checks on Oh Chang, who insists he is fine despite looking like he just got run over. But a scanner shows the portal's level is not the safe E rank they were told it was. As they head in, we are reminded these low-level guys only get work when they are hired as cannon fodder. This moment Oh Chang enters the portal's magic field. His body's allergic reaction kicks in, causing immense pain. Even so, he grits his teeth and pushes through it because this is his only chance to move forward. He is pushing through the agony for one simple reason: to survive. They have arrived in a place called the Tower of Forgetfulness, definitely not an E-rank dungeon. This intense magic field hits Oh Chang like a truck, his allergy kicking into overdrive. His nose starts bleeding again as the internal damage gets way worse, and he collapses to his knees, knowing this agonizing pain was coming. His crew immediately rushes over, completely freaked out by his sudden collapse. Meanwhile, that mysterious blonde guy casually calls him an abandoned adventurer, a rare sight. Oh Chang overhears this, and the look on his face says that insult landed hard. With everyone assembled in the crystal-filled canyon, the blonde dude tells them to get to work. A moment later, a worried Ziakayan realizes Oh Chang has already vanished from her side. Turns out he is already mining with his buddies. No time for internal bleeding when there is money to be made. A couple of other adventurers watch him, shocked he is working right after coughing up blood. One of them starts to explain that term they just heard, the abandoned adventurer. It is a rare disease you can get during your awakening, basically the worst gacha roll of all time. His body literally rejects magic, causing everything from allergic reactions to total organ failure. We get a very strange cartoon diagram explaining the condition's effects. This bottom line is even healing magic can kill them, making them a walking contradiction. And we see his own awakening. He was denied a profession because of this magic intolerance. Despite this, he has grinded his way to level 3 with pure grit, one painful portal at a time. He just keeps swinging that pickaxe, shattering crystals with raw, non-magical strength. Oh Chang pushes through the pain, knowing he can only level up with tiny XP gains from exploration. But there is a cure for his magic allergy overseas, so he just has to grind and save up. A simple, totally achievable plan. His ultimate goal is to join the Explorer Guild as a strategy advisor, using his brain instead of his broken body. Clutching that recruitment ad, his resolve is suddenly stronger than ever. He is going to become a real adventurer again, no matter what it costs him. Back in the present, his crew finishes up their last load of crystals, ready to pack it in for the day. They all agree they need to bounce before the high-level guys accidentally spawn tougher monsters. Still, Oh Chang cannot shake the feeling that something is seriously wrong with this whole setup. He spots a tower in the distance, figuring that is the boss room they need to clear to get out. Except, wait a second, why are there 2 boss towers? That is definitely not on the brochure. Before he can even process that, a massive energy beam blasts him completely off his feet. This blonde guy's crew surrounds him, telling him to stay down on the president's orders. And it clicks, he remembers the rich bully's smug face, realizing exactly who is pulling the strings. Oh Chang is just seething, wondering what he ever did to make this psycho so obsessed with him. One of the goons explains their boss feels pity for his disease and sent them to see him off. They even add that being a useless adventurer is a sin, so they are basically doing him a favor. Despite Ziakayan's pleas, Oh Chang staggers to his feet, calling them all completely insane. That blonde dude then offers to free him from his pain with a high-level skill. What a humanitarian. Oh Chang just smirks through the blood and dirt, finally understanding the whole picture. He flashes back to the bully's earlier threat, realizing "let me help you" was just code for murder. Oh Chang finally snaps, calling them out as reckless fools who play with other people's lives. He is absolutely seething, asking if they honestly think they are gods. His voice echoes with rage, questioning their right to judge who lives and who dies. We then cut to a car at night where a new association policy is being discussed to help low-level adventurers. And of course, it is Mr. Moneybags explaining how trash just needs to disappear, but to do it cleanly. His crony just smirks, completely sure that no inspectors will ever find out about their little plan. With a terrifying grin, the bully promises that no one who is supposed to die today is walking out of there. As their car drives off, the grim reality is clear. The world always revolves around the strong. Back in the present, the blonde dude's crew is ready, knowing nobody will care if a few weaklings die. But Oh Chang is not going down easy, dodging and kicking his way through the fiery assault. He immediately identifies the attack as a level 3 fireball, his notebook knowledge paying off. Realizing they are just toying with him using a high-level skill only fuels his determination. He knows the level gap is massive and a direct hit from that fireball would be the end. In the next instant, the attack connects in a huge fiery explosion. This blonde guy smirks, satisfied he finally hit his elusive target. What a generous assessment. But something comes flying right out of the smoke, and it is definitely not a white flag. It is Chang screaming in defiance as he summons a weapon with crackling blue energy. His attacker watches, looking more bored than concerned as lightning arcs around our boy. That smug look finally cracks as he mutters about this damn kid being more trouble than expected. While Chang coughs up blood, a grotesque, heart-like monster with claws manifests right behind him. This blonde dude just casually throws Chang straight off a cliff, a classic villain move. After the fall, a boot grinds his face into the dirt for good measure just to be thorough. His attacker declares it is over and the screen just explodes in a mess of blood. Yeah, that is a whole lot of blood pouring from our boy's mouth, definitely not a great sign. As he is dying, his only thought is about how much it hurts, a truly profound final moment. He wonders why he has to die just for being powerless, a question the universe rarely answers nicely. This other low-levels realize they are next, but the goons just mock them for being too weak to matter. A bloody vision of a temple flashes by, hinting at something ancient and sinister in this dungeon. But Chang's rage boils over. Who the hell are they to decide his fate? Suddenly, a system alert pops up, warning of a dungeon abnormality and a re-leveled boss. That second tower Chang spotted earlier starts glowing, and you just know this is not on the tour itinerary. This ground itself starts to crack and tremble as something massive begins to emerge. Even the smug blonde guy looks up, realizing his tidy little murder party just got crashed. A new godlike being with flowing white hair erupts from the earth with immense power. Chang's consciousness fades, but in his final moments he thinks he sees something impossible. He gets a vision of two divine beings descending with a message that the god of death is coming. Turns out they are the black and white impermanents, a pair of soul reapers, and they look absolutely terrifying. Next thing he knows, Chang is standing alone in a dark, empty void, understandably confused. He looks at his hands, completely healed, wondering what just happened to his very recent death. And then a system window appears, announcing a new player is entering whatever this place is. Suddenly, Chang hears a voice in the void, wondering where it is coming from. A system voice tells him to proceed as a creepy little shrine materializes before him. This thing is covered in bloodstains, which is never a good sign in the afterlife. He quickly realizes the mysterious voice is coming from right inside the box. Naturally, his first instinct is to poke the spooky murder box to see what is inside, and he immediately gets bitten for his troubles, yanking his hand back in pain. Out pops a talking calligraphy pen, which is furious he has been mistaken for a broom priorities. This sassy writing utensil welcomes him as the system's activator, but Chang is still lost. With a creepy grin, the pen asks why on earth he thinks this place is empty. It then drops the bombshell that he is standing on the literal gate to the underworld. Welcome to the Ghost Gate, a destination that is definitely not getting 5 stars on Yelp. As Chang looks down into the abyss, the pen casually informs him he is already dead. That little tidbit of information takes a second to fully sink in for our boy. He cannot believe it, questioning if he is really, truly dead after all that. Then the memories come flooding back, the boot grinding his face into the cold, hard dirt. He remembers the bloody aftermath of the fight, left for dead in that corrupted dungeon. And the horror finally hits him as he realizes he was straight up murdered back there. This kid is having a full-blown panic attack, completely overwhelmed by the truth of his death. But his new afterlife guide just tells him to keep it down because this is a public space. Chang just despairs, wondering why this happened when all he wanted was to be a normal adventurer. Chang's having a full-on existential crisis, thinking he might as well die, which the pen offers to help with. How thoughtful. This sassy pen tells him to get a move on because his corpse is getting cold and they have got places to be. He follows the voice down a massive, shadowy path, wondering what comes next now that he is officially expired. His new guide seems impressed he is taking the whole being dead thing so well, though he just looks numb. They arrive in a pitch-black space, and the pen just cryptically promises he will find out where they are soon enough. Suddenly, torches flare to life, illuminating the darkness around them, and revealing a massive, ancient hall that the pen calls the trial site. Chang is completely stunned by the scale of the place, but his guide just calls him a bumpkin and tells him to hurry. Something about this place feels eerily familiar, like the dungeons he used to explore. Before him stands the massive, enthroned body of none other than King Yama, the ruler of the underworld. This pen gets right in his face, ready to drop some serious afterlife exposition on our very confused boy. It explains that this is where souls come to be judged for their deeds in life, with the wicked being sent straight to hell for an eternity of punishment. And the ultimate judge is King Yama himself, commander of ghosts and demons. Then it clicks for Chang, remembering the mythological god who decides everyone's fate with a stroke of his pen. He freaks out, asking how the literal god of death could be dead, but the pen insists it is true. To prove its point, the sassy utensil points him towards some writing on the wall. Chang approaches a massive stone tablet covered in ancient script, wondering what it says. In a weird twist, he finds he can actually read the strange language perfectly. He realizes these engravings are not just decoration, they are historical records. He notices the wall engravings seem to tell the story of an ancient battle. It looks like a god of the underworld is fighting some mysterious enemy. While some of the details are faded, a strange, spiky-headed figure stands out. And when he puts the images and text together, the grim history becomes clear. Apparently, King Yama lost a war, got himself beheaded, and was buried right here. This whole wall is basically the dead god's posthumous complaint letter, full of resentment. Our boy can barely process this insane revelation about a war between world rulers. Then a solo mission pops up: find Yama's real head for a potion that erases illness. His sassy pen guide confirms this is the trial to earn his life back. Cheng's brain short-circuits because he thought he was fully dead, not just half dead. He promptly smacks the pen for the misleading info, which feels entirely justified. Realizing he has a chance, his top priority is now figuring out how to return to the living. That reward, a soup that cures his magic allergy, is the exact bait he cannot possibly resist. With the perfect motivation dangled right in front of him, he accepts the trial. And just like that, the test begins with creepy ghost heads materializing all around him. This number of floating heads just keeps growing until he is completely surrounded. He is understandably freaked out by the sudden downpour of disembodied heads. His guide explains that among all these fakes, only one of them is the real one. Looking at the absolute mountain of heads, Cheng has no clue how to even start. This pen just cackles, reminding him it is a trial, not a vacation. Thanks for the tip. Cheng starts the world's worst game of Guess Who, immediately tossing out the obviously wrong heads. He knows dungeon puzzles usually have clues, but this is the afterlife, no online walkthroughs here. With no rules and a sea of floating faces, he is completely stumped on how to even start. His only lead is the wall text, while the pen helpfully roasts him for dying in the first place. And then it clicks, a sudden flash of genius that might just save his semi-dead butt. This pen and all the ghost heads immediately demand to know what he figured out. Gossip is eternal, apparently. But Cheng plays it cool, telling the nosy writing utensil to give him some space. His guide gets desperate, offering to help with the answer it totally knows, pinky swear. Ignoring the offer, our boy triumphantly grabs a spiky-haired head, absolutely sure he has found it. He remembers the inscription mentioning a large scar, and this one has a nasty one right across the eye. He asks the pen for confirmation, but his guide just cryptically tells him he will find out soon enough. A moment later, the head's eye starts glowing a sinister purple. That is the "you messed up" signal. Our boy has just enough time for a solid "oh no" as he realizes his explosive mistake, and the head detonates right in his face with a massive blast of purple energy, sending him flying backwards through the crowd of other, less volatile heads. This pen just cheerfully announces he got the wrong answer, as if the explosion was not a big enough hint. Battered and bruised, he rethinks the clue, wondering if maybe King Yama was not even human. He pushes through the pain, determined to find another head that fits the description. As encouragement, the pen whips out a tiny megaphone to share a fun little secret. Turns out this trial has a time limit, and the clock is tied to the Soul Reapers finishing their job upstairs. Turns out Cheng's death accidentally activated this whole system, which is now operating on autopilot. The Soul Reapers are just a failsafe for monsters, but since humans killed him, the system is officially bugging out. So now it is simple: either he passes this trial and takes over, or the system just kills everyone back in the dungeon. His first thought is for his friends, panicking about whether they are caught in the crossfire with the Soul Reapers. He realizes the time limit for his puzzle is directly tied to their survival. If he is too slow, they all die. That new motivation sends him scrambling through the sea of heads, desperately searching for the right one. With the clock ticking down, he is in a frantic race against time to solve this thing. A grim vision reminds him of the stakes. Failure means everyone he cares about gets wiped out. But then, through the chaos, he spots a very regal-looking head wearing a massive hat. Thinking he has finally cracked it, he dives into the pile, shouting that he has found the one. He grabs the head by its hair, absolutely convinced this is the correct answer. With a look of pure determination, he holds up his prize, ready for this to be over, and it promptly explodes in his face for the second time, because of course it does. All the other floating heads just stare on, completely unimpressed with his 0 for 2 record. A single hand reaches out from the bottom of the pile, confirming he is not quite dead yet. Cheng stumbles out of the heap, wondering how long he was knocked unconscious. His sassy pen guide informs him he was out for a full 20 minutes, great use of his limited time. As a fun little penalty, the number of heads has increased, and he now has only 2 minutes left. This weight of his impossible situation hits him hard, leaving him speechless and staring into space. But instead of despairing, a slow, unsettling grin spreads across his face as a new plan forms. Cheng's sudden maniacal laughter completely freaks out his afterlife guide. He finally understands the whole half-dead and cure-all potion setup. Calling the entire trial a sick joke, he seems to have accepted his fate. His sassy guide is completely baffled, asking if he has finally lost his mind. But Cheng remembers reading about a specific type of dungeon rule meant to break players. It is a dark joke, a cruel system designed to offer false hope and drive people to despair. Seeing him give up, the pen tries to get a reaction out of him. Cheng just sits there, seemingly resigned to his fate while the pen keeps nagging him. These twisted puzzles are designed to turn adventurers against each other in a hopeless situation. It is basically an unwinnable game run by a sadistic demon who enjoys watching the suffering. For a moment he truly despairs, feeling like a fool for ever believing he had a second chance. Then he notices something odd about the pen. It seems to be in a massive hurry. He cannot tell if it is happy or just panicking, but it is definitely not acting normal. Suddenly the pen starts screaming and zipping around like its life depends on it. It frantically warns him to be careful, though Cheng has no idea why. Our boy just sits there, calmly watching the chaos and wondering what the big deal is. That is when he sees it. One of the heads is floating on its own, moving with purpose. He realizes that while most heads are just drifting, some are actively moving around. It is like something is stirring the pot, and he points to a clown head as an example. Connecting this to the wall inscription, he has a sudden, game-changing epiphany. Okay, enough guessing. Our boy decides it is time to test his absolutely bonkers new theory. Remembering the exact position of one of the heads, he gets ready to try this all over again. Believing he has cracked it, he summons a ball of dark energy, expecting the real head to just fly right over. His energy shot flies through the air, leaving the pen totally baffled as to why the trial has not ended. And now all the heads are flying around like crazy, sending the pen into a full-blown panic. This giant-mouthed guide absolutely loses it, screaming at O-Chang for whatever he just did. This pen starts sweating, realizing if this kid keeps messing around, he is going to figure out the whole scam. It does a complete 180, suddenly trying to sweet-talk him into just giving up and dying peacefully. But O-Chang is not buying the sudden kindness for a second, smirking because he knows he has finally cracked it. He recalls the wall inscription, realizing it was a major clue, but there was another hidden rule he overlooked. And it clicks, the mission box originally said no time limit, a blatant lie designed to make him give up. This entire puzzle centers on the massive, headless body of King Yama right there on the throne. He recalls the final line from the wall. "We went together," a message clearly meant for someone specific. Then the biggest rule drops. The real answer is always located directly behind the solver, no matter which way they turn. But even knowing the answer is behind him, he has still got one final step to figure out. He spins around to check, only to find his very surprised-looking guide floating right in his face. Staring up at the colossal body, he has no idea how he is supposed to retrieve a head from that height. Climbing the massive body is obviously a terrible idea, so he has to think bigger. This final clue clicks into place. The old friend mentioned in the text is the key to the whole thing. His guide is still screaming at him to just die quietly, totally unaware that O-Chang is about to solve everything. O-Chang points right at his guide, whose nervous sweat is practically a confession. His big brain moment hits, the key is courtesy, something Yama's enemy would never show. Ignoring the pen's frantic questions, he walks right up to the massive, headless throne. Then he clasps his hands together in a gesture of formal, traditional respect. While his guide keeps screaming, O-Chang just calmly prepares to execute his wild new plan. He has figured it out, this is how you are supposed to return the head to the body. But after a moment, absolutely nothing happens, leaving him completely baffled. Looking up at the throne, he wonders why the head would be placed so high up. It finally clicks, King Yama is the ruler of this realm, and you do not just casually greet a king. So with that realization, he gets down on his knees to show proper deference. Our boy performs a full kowtow, pressing his forehead to the ground in ultimate respect. Before the colossal body of the dead god, he makes his final, humble plea. And suddenly, the headless neck erupts with a blinding flash of crimson energy. He does not know who this whole setup was for, but he is taking this chance to be reborn. A system window confirms it, trial completed, and the cure-all soup is taking effect. A brilliant pillar of light engulfs him as the reward floods his system. He can feel magic coursing through him again, his lifelong illness completely gone. Another window pops up, granting him a new job title, Intern of the Underworld. O-Chang just stares at the screen, wondering what the heck an old friend's promise is. Meanwhile, the pen guide drops the act, revealing its true monstrous form and vowing to eat him. O-Chang nervously asks if all the rage is necessary, realizing the pen never wanted him to pass. His former guide's true form is all teeth and fury, clearly not in a forgiving mood. He is suddenly feeling very small as the monster towers over him, realizing this is a serious problem. With a terrifying roar, the creature dives in for the kill, ready to swallow him whole. But instead of eating him, the pen starts groveling to an unseen King Yama, making excuses for its failure. A new, massive silhouette appears, and the pen is absolutely terrified, begging for mercy. O-Chang feels his consciousness slipping away as this new, imposing presence arrives on the scene. A whole crew of Underworld officials shows up, and a commanding voice orders the pen to eject O-Chang. A mysterious voice laments that its plans are ruined, now forced to bet everything on this kid's fate. This scene shifts to the real world, explaining that adventurers get rich by risking their lives daily. We see a flashback to a younger O-Chang drawn to the dangerous allure of a dungeon portal. It is a grim reminder that for many, just getting a body back from a dungeon is a victory. Back in the present, O-Chang wakes up trapped in the dark, frantically trying to get out. A lid slides open and he looks up with relief, thanking whoever opened it. Of course, his savior is the monster pen, back in its goofy form and acting like they are old pals. O-Chang's response is a swift punch to the face, so much for a happy reunion. This pen explains he is in a morgue, and O-Chang's punch was just him thinking it was a nightmare. He clutches his chest, piecing together that the association must have sent help after his team went silent. This means no one else should have survived the Soul Reapers, yet here he is, wondering if he is the only one. This pen confirms 2 others survived, but urges him to get out of the morgue before they get caught. With a ding, the elevator arrives at the morgue level, which is never a good sign. An overworked attendant wheels a body down the hall, complaining about his terrible shift. He is just trying to get through his last delivery of the day, totally oblivious to what is coming. Suddenly, a voice from behind shouts at him to stop right there. O-Chang sprints past with his guide, getting a lecture about running in the halls from a very confused man. This poor guy's brain short-circuits when he is reminded he works in the morgue, not a regular hospital ward. Our boy then grabs the attendant in a panic, while the pen yells at him to ditch the human shield. He promptly dumps the guy and makes a mad dash for the elevator, leaving the attendant to question his life choices. Meanwhile, outside, a woman from the association is on the phone trying to manage the dungeon disaster. She is clearly stressed out of her mind, promising to handle the death confirmations. While she complains about a portal malfunction, Chang casually strolls by in the background. This woman looks up, sensing something is off but not quite spotting the kid who just escaped his own body bag. An overhead view shows her searching, completely missing the two survivors walking right past her. This scene shifts to a quiet residential street as Chang finally makes his way home. He slips into his apartment, hoping for a moment of peace after, dying. Of course, the pen immediately starts roasting his living space because it is a terrible roommate. It even pitches the underworld as a better housing option, boasting about the low property values for the deceased. Chang just collapses onto his bed, confirming he lives alone when the pen asks about his family. Staring up at the ceiling, he reveals both his parents were adventurers who disappeared into a portal long ago. A brief, heartbreaking flashback shows his smiling parents before they left on that final, fateful mission. He recalls being a lost kid waiting anxiously by the portal, just like his parents. Now he is scrolling online for info on his new job but finds absolutely nothing. This search brings up legendary hidden professions like the intimidating necromancer, followed by the all-seeing, holy-looking oracle class, and even a tanky, cigar-chomping charioteer who makes the list of legends. Apparently, these hidden professions are basically ancient history at this point. Lying in bed, Chang starts connecting the dots about his own situation, and it hits him his new title. Intern of the Underworld might just be one of them. For the first time in ages, he feels a spark of hope that he can actually make it. But the reality check is brutal. He is back at level 1 and already died once. He remembers the dark side of this world where powerful people exploit the weak, and he grits his teeth thinking about the corruption running rampant behind the scenes. It brings back a memory of the guy who treated his life like trash for his boss. His hand clenches with a new resolve to survive no matter what it takes. Then the doubt creeps back in because without adventuring, he has no way to live. His guide pops up to offer some weird solidarity, mentioning he was also bullied after his parents vanished. Deciding to focus on what he can control, Chang sits up to check his skills. He confidently points his finger, expecting a system window to appear like for other adventurers, but absolutely nothing happens, leaving him totally confused since his mana disease is cured. This monster pen reappears to call him an idiot, roasting him because level 1s do not get skills. Just as he is getting roasted, a glowing panel appears in his room, which he assumes is a gift. A new quest pops up telling him to head to the Adventurers Association for a mystery reward. So he arrives at the massive skyscraper, wondering what exactly the system has in store for him. Inside, Chang tries to get his floating pen to be less conspicuous, but it assures him only he can see it. His guide immediately starts zipping around like a tourist, sending Chang into a full-blown panic. They pass an awakening chamber where some guy is killing a monster, and the pen complains about the smell. In the massive main hall, the pen almost lets its desire to eat slip out before correcting itself. Suddenly, the guide starts sweating and shivering, clearly terrified of something in this building. It then boasts about sensing the magic from countless portals hidden high above them. This pen gives a quick rundown on how the association works, a hub for newbies to grind and get noticed. Chang gets fed up with the condescending info dump, sarcastically threatening to throw the broom away. Distracted by his annoying guide, he walks face first into a massive dude in full plate armor. This armored adventurer stumbles, looking seriously annoyed as Chang apologizes from the floor. With glowing eyes, the guy uses a skill just to scan Chang's stats with pure disdain. Chang just brushes it off, since there is not much a level 1 can do about getting looked down on. Moments later, that same tough guy is bowing to a man in a suit, proving strength is not everything. His guide scoffs at the whole power dynamic, muttering about how the world is about to change. Right on cue, another golden system window begins to materialize right in front of Chang. His eyes widen as he focuses on the new directive appearing before him. This next quest is simple enough: select a dungeon at the association and see what happens. Chang tries to psych himself up, deciding to take it slow since he is only level 1. His creepy pen guide immediately pops up, asking why he is just standing around. Then a portal violently yanks him forward as he screams about being the only one there, because the quest is to clear the dungeon alone, which the pen swears it cannot control. Chang absolutely loses it, reminding his guide that dungeons need a full party, not a solo suicide run. We flash back to him at the association, where a receptionist confirms his application for a level 3 dungeon. While he is trying to pick from a list, the pen offers its helpful 2 cents. And by help, it means its weird tentacle thing just taps a random dungeon on the tablet for him. This sends Chang into a rage, shaking the pen while it argues he should be thanking it. This receptionist just smiles and confirms his forced choice, completely oblivious to the hostage situation. Back in the present, the pen offers a life-saving skill as a peace offering for screwing him over. This quest is literally to slap the brush in the face for a mystery reward, peak system trolling. As Chang glows with rage, the pen warns him that abandoning the quest means losing his new life. That realization hits him hard. If he does not play along with this nonsense, he will actually die. With the pen practically licking its lips, he knows he is completely trapped. He remembers the gift from his first task, the one that sent him to the association in the first place. A new skill activates. Hellfire, a flame that burns through magic power. Another skill pops up. Paper Man, which creates 3 doppelgangers for maximum confusion. Our boy is absolutely thrilled, realizing he just got 3 life-saving clones, a super rare skill. He cannot believe a simple slap earned him such an insane reward looking at his new paper buddies. Cheng takes stock of his new skills and a few potions, realizing he is hilariously underequipped for this. His only real strategy is to sneak through the dungeon, avoid all fights, and just grab the objective. This mission is just to retrieve a beacon, not kill the boss, which strikes him as super weird. Turns out the association keeps portals open by not killing the boss, basically turning them into reusable training grounds. His guide calls him out for figuring out the association's little money-making loophole, a professional cheater recognizing another. Before he dives in, Cheng needs to check if his old gear still works now that he is not cursed. He cautiously steps onto the water, testing his magic boots to see if he can still walk on it. His foot stays perfectly dry, confirming the boots are good to go. And the look in his eye says it all, a wave of relief washing over him. He is literally running on water, overjoyed that his mana poison is officially a thing of the past. Now fully confident, Cheng slings on his backpack, ready to tackle this solo mission. He consults the map, which looks like it was drawn by a 5-year-old, and roasts its terrible quality. Strolling across the water, he jokes that this feels more like a sightseeing trip than a dungeon crawl. This pen immediately ruins the mood, warning him that the local starfish are apparently man-eaters. They then spot a glowing frog, which the guide explains is a soul magic lookout post. So far, the coast is clear with absolutely 0 monsters in sight. Our boy starts getting cocky, thinking he might actually clear this without a scratch. And of course, the system immediately gives him a new quest, kill a monster. Cheng absolutely loses it, strangling the pen and accusing it of snitching on him to the system. Resigned to his fate, he steels himself, remembering exactly what kind of monster lives in this place. Cheng cautiously peeks around a corner, ready for his first ever solo monster fight. His target is a very confused-looking duck man who just heard a noise. He realizes he is incredibly lucky since these things are supposed to travel in packs. That luck immediately runs out as the monster spots him and starts squawking its head off. It tries to flee and alert its friends, forcing Cheng to sprint after it across the water. He then spots a wooden whistle around its neck, the alarm he absolutely has to destroy. Unleashing his hellfire, our boy struggles to aim the flames at such a tiny target. This pen promptly screams at him to stop being an idiot and just attach the fire to a weapon. A look of pure shock hits Cheng as the painfully obvious solution finally clicks into place. He gets it now. He can summon a weapon and just imbue it with the flames. With a flash of light, he materializes a sleek rapier-style sword from pure energy. Our boy then hurls the flaming blade straight at the fleeing monster with everything he has got. It is a direct hit, and the duck man is instantly engulfed in the ethereal white fire. His guide actually compliments the mana-draining sword, which apparently works even in water. Now on its knees, the monster can only gurgle in agony as the flames burn it away. This pen asks if they should show mercy, but the sight reminds Cheng of something else. This monster is practically sweating bullets, its eyes wide with pure undiluted terror. With zero hesitation, Cheng lunges forward to deliver the final, decisive blow. He coldly states that begging is meaningless in a dungeon, shocking even his demonic guide. Checking his stats, he sees that one flashy attack just drained nearly half his total mana. He decides to conserve his mana, knowing he might not get a chance to recharge mid-fight. His guide immediately roasts his toothpick of a sword, but Cheng explains he needs a light weapon. But after the kill, he is totally confused why the quest has not been marked as complete. This system window confirms his fears. The monster kill count is still a big fat 0. Turns out the duck man was not quite dead and is about to blow its emergency whistle. Cheng absolutely loses it, realizing he did not hit a vital spot. Just as the quest finally updates to show 1 kill, it is already way too late. That whistle echoes across the water, and now the entire duck army is on its way. Even his guide is screaming that they are doomed as monsters swarm them from all sides. Cheng is completely cornered, his face a perfect mask of what do we do now panic. With an entire horde closing in, it looks like a total dead end for our boy. But then he spots a glimmer of light in the water, a potential escape route. A single floating puzzle piece appears, which he immediately identifies as his only way out. Without a second thought, he snatches the strange item out of the air. Crushing it in his hand unleashes a massive explosion of light and smoke. This blast creates the perfect diversion, leaving the duck men totally disoriented and confused. His paper clones dissolve in the water, making the monsters think he just vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, Cheng is already swimming away underwater, using the chaos as cover. Deactivating his hellfire, he reveals the explosion was a makeshift smoke bomb to buy time. Now he is swimming for his life, knowing he is dead if the duck men spot him. While holding his breath underwater, Cheng wonders what that giant shadow was, since it definitely was not a duck. A massive, shadowy creature then rockets right past him, confirming his absolute worst fears. Just then, his guide from hell pops up, complaining about being abandoned while Cheng starts to drown. This pen calls him a traitor as our boy panics, realizing he is completely out of air, perfect timing. Back on the surface, a lone duck man hears the commotion and looks around, totally confused. They finally break the surface for air, only to be immediately spotted by the duck patrol who start squawking. An entire squad of angry duck men starts charging them as the pen helpfully suggests he should fight back. Cheng sprints across the water with his terrible map while his guide points out the obvious: they are surrounded. With no other choice, he and his clones take a leap of faith down a rocky chasm. He lands perfectly on the water's surface, his magic boots activating just in time, and makes a massive splash, which is definitely not how you do stealth missions. He immediately snaps into a defensive stance, realizing the chase is far from over. Looking up, he sees the cliffs are lined with even more monsters, cutting off any and all escape routes. Turns out his earlier smoke bomb was more of a dinner bell, attracting a whole new crowd of enemies. Among them is a blindfolded, dual-wielding psycho who looks like the leader of this whole operation. With no other options left, Cheng decides it is time to use his life-saving skill again. He activates Paper Men, summoning his 3 clones to create maximum chaos and confusion for the enemy. His doppelgangers stand their ground, looking way more intimidating than the real Cheng ever could. While the clones distract the mob, the real Cheng goes straight for the leader with a surprise attack. But his blade is easily blocked, and he is left wondering why his desperate lunge had zero effect. This pen explains his clones are just statues because he has not drawn the eyes to give them a soul. It then offers to squeeze out some ink for him, because now is a great time for arts and crafts. This process will apparently imbue the Paper Men with his 3 souls, finally letting them move. In response to this mid-fight power-up explanation, the duck leader just lets out a mighty quack. His minions take that as the signal to charge, swarming Cheng from all sides. Our boy struggles to block their heavy blades, barely holding his ground against the onslaught. He gets absolutely shredded, discovering that fighting actual monsters is a whole different ballgame. Meanwhile, his 3 supposedly life-saving clones are just standing there like useless mannequins. With his teeth gritted, Cheng feels himself being pushed to his absolute limit. Deciding it is all or nothing, he makes a desperate leap back to create some distance. His duck men are suddenly terrified as his hellfire erupts, realizing this kid is actually dangerous. They instinctively back away from the white flames, giving him a precious moment to breathe. But his mana is draining fast, and he knows he needs to get his Paper Men online immediately. One of the clones just stands there, a perfect picture of a soulless, unhelpful paperweight. This pen's eye glows ominously, finally ready to give these decoys their software update. A strange energy flows out, infusing the 3 Paper Men with life and purpose. This blindfolded leader is totally shocked as 3 identical Chengs suddenly appear before him. His duck cronies are equally baffled, identifying the move as a shadow clone technique. With creepy painted-on faces, the newly animated Paper Men finally charge into battle. And they are immediately hilariously ineffective, getting tossed around like ragdolls. But hey, proficiency increased. This pen points out his paper clones are surprisingly durable, basically telling him to run while they buy time. Taking that advice to heart, Cheng immediately books it across the water, leaving his decoys behind. His escape is immediately complicated by the wounds he took earlier, which are starting to act up. He is also leaving a very obvious blood trail in the water for the ducks to follow, a master of stealth, this one. Needing to patch himself up, he ducks behind some rocks, desperately looking for a place to hide. That is when he stumbles upon a swirling purple gateway radiating some seriously ominous energy. Pulling out his terrible map, he tries to figure out what this creepy portal could possibly be. It is apparently the dungeon boss's room, which makes zero sense since the association sealed them all. This kid is completely floored, wondering why this one of all of them is suddenly wide open. Before he can process this, the angry quacking of the duck patrol confirms they have found him. With no time left to think, his only thought is to get away from this spot immediately. But a sudden flash of light erupts from the water, stopping him dead in his tracks. It is an ambush, and he is now completely surrounded by the very duck men he was trying to escape. 2 particularly buff-looking ducks close in, their glowing eyes promising a world of pain. Just as they are about to strike, though, the monsters freeze, their faces twisting in absolute terror. Cheng is completely baffled, wondering if they are actually afraid of him for some reason. He quickly realizes that is not it. They are not scared of him, they are scared of something else. Looming up behind him is a colossal, shadowy sea monster with a long, creepy tongue. He finally turns around, his face a perfect picture of "I am in so much trouble." Meanwhile, back at the association, they are just now hearing about a portal incident and sending a team. No rush, guys. An association official is on the phone, promising to cover guild losses to keep everyone happy. A manager then walks in asking about the commotion, learning a level 3 adventurer just entered the portal. His face drops when he hears it is sealed, realizing the kid might have opened the boss room. Demanding the adventurer's file, he mutters that going in alone is basically a death sentence. He reads the report, annoyed that some fool is chasing loot and causing him all this trouble. It is Cheng's file showing no guild or class, which gets the manager thinking he is an undiscovered talent. His interest is piqued when he sees Cheng has a perfect 12 for 12 dungeon completion record. But he quickly dismisses that, deciding Cheng is just some office worker and they should just close the portal. Elsewhere, 2 other agents discuss the situation, noting the association is now demanding answers. Back in the dungeon, a hulking new monster in a helmet appears, declaring Cheng's luck has just run out. It immediately swings a massive weapon, forcing our boy to duck for his life. Cheng dodges and leaps into the air, twisting around for a powerful counterkick. He lands, having barely blocked the blow with his rapier, as his guide screams at him to run for it. This new helmeted monster just looms over him, clearly ready to finish the job. but then he completely ignores Oh Chang and just smashes a nearby duck man into paste. Turns out this guy's here to fight the ducks, wading into the horde like a lawnmower. Seeing his chance, Oh Chang cancels his skills and makes a run for it while they are all distracted. Too bad for him, the portal is now sealed and the rules are simple: kill the boss or die here. In the chaos of the fight, he realizes the last attack knocked his backpack clean off his shoulders. His guide immediately screams at him to forget the stupid backpack and focus on not dying. Oh Chang remembers his backpack holds his last mana potion, the only way he can keep using his fire. His quest log updates, showing the only thing left is to kill the dungeon boss, and he plans to use fire. A sudden gust of wind puts him on high alert, his eyes wide with surprise. Something huge comes flying right at him, and it looks suspiciously like his lost backpack. His eyes lock onto the incoming object, realizing it is not the bag but one of his paper clones. That helmeted psycho actually threw the clone at a nearby duck man who barely dodges the projectile. Turns out the monster used the doll's fragments to expand Oh Chang's lingering hellfire. This paper doll detonates, engulfing the duck man in a massive hellfire explosion for max damage. He is sent tumbling back from the force of his own attack, barely keeping his balance on the water. After recovering his backpack, he looks at the fiery aftermath, wondering if that was enough to win. But a massive figure emerges from the flames, completely unfazed by the direct hit. Scratch that, it is definitely not unfazed, as the monster starts coughing up a ton of blood. That attack clearly did some serious damage, and the helmeted beast is absolutely furious. Just as quickly as it appeared, the hellfire fizzles out, the skill suddenly cancelled. Oh Chang sits exhausted in the water, his mana depleted and weapon broken, but he thinks he has won. Except the monster is still standing, revealing the flames barely even scratched its tough hide. Now he is badly injured, out of options, and staring down a boss that just tanked his ultimate move. As the monster raises its weapon for the final blow, Oh Chang accepts that this solo mission was impossible. A task failure warning flashes, screaming at him to resist as he wonders if fate is just messing with him. After everything he has been through, he starts to think his adventurer career is ending right where it began. He is left wondering if he was ever even meant to be an adventurer in the first place. All he ever wanted was to see the worlds behind the portals, and now it is all ending. But with his last ounce of strength, Oh Chang finds the will to fight, refusing to die here. His guide from hell suddenly chimes in, screaming that it has one last trick up its sleeve. Meanwhile, the helmeted boss is still busy smashing everything in sight with its giant hammer. This force of its own blow actually sends it flying backwards into the water with a splash. From the depths, the monster taunts him, saying it is only giving him a shot because he is an intern. That creepy pen reappears, telling Oh Chang to listen closely because they are completely out of time. It explains it can transform into any weapon he needs, but he has to choose wisely. This is it. Back on its feet, the helmeted beast grins, ready to test our boy's will to live. A helpful tip from the pen points out the monster's skin is like steel, so swords are useless. Knowing he only gets one shot, Oh Chang prepares to go all in with his new, improvised weapon. That monster smirks, getting ready to swing its hammer, convinced the kid will not even try to dodge. Suddenly, the pen transforms into a massive, grinning whale that erupts from the water. What? Now there are two of them flanking the boss while Oh Chang hangs on for dear life below. For a split second, the monster admits it is just running on adrenaline with only one chance to act. It then decides thinking is for losers and just brings the hammer down with full force. With a manic grin, Oh Chang braces for impact, ready to meet the attack head-on. His guide screams a last-second warning as the massive weapon descends upon them, and the hammer comes crashing down, aimed right at Oh Chang and his ridiculous whale pole. Oh Chang roars that he has figured it out, having finally read the monster's attack patterns. His guide immediately warns him that if he knows the pattern, the monster might know he knows. Right on cue, the helmeted beast changes its swing, aiming to crush him with an unpredictable blow. This monster's helmet gets splattered with blood as it grins, clearly enjoying the brutal exchange. But Oh Chang is not finished, screaming that it is not over as he pushes back with all his might. In a desperate move, he burns his last drop of mana, engulfing the monster in blue flames. All that power is focused directly into the wound he'd opened up earlier, a perfect shot. With his eye glowing, Oh Chang yells for his weapon to transform for one final attack. This pen becomes a massive calligraphy brush that is apparently so hot he can barely hold it. Standing over the boss, he reveals the fire was just to melt the armor for this one weak point strike. His quest log immediately updates, confirming every single objective is now complete. Our boy lets out a massive, cathartic scream, having actually pulled off the impossible. Battered but victorious, he smiles as a level 4 notification pops up. He made it. He's also acquired a new ability, Judgment, which unlocks more forms for his demonic pen. To top it all off, his Hellfire skill is now maxed out with a bonus to flame penetration. Completely drained, Oh Chang collapses on the monster's corpse as his pen complains about its hair. He gives a tired but genuine thanks to his guide, which somehow increases his weapon proficiency. This pen gets all flustered, insisting it only helped because it had no choice. Sure, buddy. Meanwhile, at the association, officials are confused since their records show that boss room was sealed. Back in the lobby, Oh Chang just plays it cool, whispering to his guide that he was just lucky. An association employee greets him with a practiced smile, already suspecting another compensation scam. She promises to verify his story, while Oh Chang just stands there completely clueless. Suddenly, a manager with a nasty scar and a seriously villainous aura makes his appearance. This guy congratulates Oh Chang for the solo clear and says his payment is on the way. He strides across the lobby, clearly here to handle this very unusual situation personally. Oh Chang is a little stunned by the easy resolution, and his guide seems suspicious too. It is because the manager is holding Oh Chang's official death certificate from a double dungeon incident, which raises the very inconvenient question of why a dead guy is standing in his lobby. He dismisses the front desk lady because this is now way above her pay grade. A phone call then comes in that is about to connect all these weird dots. On the other end is some rich heir Lee Hexian wondering why the association is calling him. Manager Jin cuts right to the chase, asking for an update on the corpse dungeon. Lee Hexian admits they have been exploiting a bug, but for some reason the rewards are not upgrading. Their whole scheme is stalling out with their special teleportation portal going completely to waste. Back with the manager, it all clicks. He tells Lee Hexian that someone else has claimed the prize. Lee Hexian absolutely loses it, insisting that is impossible since his goons were watching the portal. Remembering the kid who just walked past, the manager realizes Oh Chang took the reward and decides to handle it. This kid somehow survived a dungeon collapse that wiped out a team of level 20 adventurers. Meanwhile, our boy is outside complaining about his sore body and the pathetic loot he got. He is then reminded of the rules. The association takes all the loot and just gives him a cut. He gets a measly 500 yen for his trouble, realizing the system is rigged against new adventurers. But then a system window pops up, making him wonder if there is another way to get paid. His quest log confirms everything is done, even giving him a bonus for his near-death experience. How thoughtful. An underworld entity then congratulates him, handing over a stretching pill that doubles his training gains. Our boy absolutely loses his mind over this, while his demonic pen just floats there, totally confused. This pill, he realizes, is a total game changer, a way to bypass the brutal early game grind. This system explains that level 5 is a massive wall where most adventurers get stuck for good. Without good gear, newbies are forced into endless physical training just to survive past level 10. Now he sees a path to level 5, but the cost of professional training is basically highway robbery. With this new advantage, Oh Chang understands this reward is his one ticket to the big leagues. Just when he thinks it is over, the system asks if he wants to unlock a second reward. A few days later, he is at the Adventure Archive trying to find any info on his weird class. While his guide screams that he is special, Oh Chang is too busy hammering the keyboard for answers. His attribute screen pops up, revealing he is an Underworld Intern with a helpful tip to die soon for better training. Seeing this for the first time, our boy is completely stunned by what his new class actually is. He compares his stats to other adventurers, realizing his own screen shows way more detail than normal. Turns out, his ability to see detailed stats is an overpowered skill that should not even exist. This system then tells him to lower the perspective, which is just getting weird and wildly inappropriate. Looking back at his stats, he is an Underworld Intern with a strange new attribute, Death, set to 1. He starts wondering what death even means, guessing it might be the core focus of his entire class. He is trying to make sense of his class, comparing it to standard burst damage mages, and then to support bards, but his own death stat just seems random and underwhelming, which earns him a well-deserved face-rearranging slap from his demonic guide. This pen is absolutely furious he'd call their class weak, reminding him he'd be nothing without it. It then floats menacingly, boasting that their job is literally controlling life and death. Because this is not just any pen, it is the legendary Judgment Pen, thank you very much. Oh Chang remains unimpressed, pointing out it is just a myth and the pen itself looks kinda pathetic. Getting right in his face, the guide screams it is because he has not collected the full item set yet. Apparently, the pen is part of a duo with the Book of Life and Death, used by the King of Hell himself. This book is the real deal, used for writing down judgments and literal death dates. When Oh Chang compares it to a necromancer, the pen gets super offended about them stealing its clients. But our boy starts to see the bigger picture, realizing this class might be as op as it sounds. His guide starts an epic monologue about ruling the underworld, but its voice glitches into digital garbage. Turns out the system itself is censoring the info, deeming it too high level for him to know yet. Oh Chang reflects on how all these game mechanics are bleeding into the real world. He remembers reading about dungeons with actual gods, so mythological stuff is not unheard of. But in all his research, he has never found a single record of another adventurer with a system like his. This leads to the million-dollar question: why was he the only one to get this power? His guide snaps him out of it, while Oh Chang wonders why he was chosen for these game-breaking cheats. And the pen offers some surprisingly solid advice: just roll with it and stop asking questions. This pen immediately calls him out for thinking out loud again, reminding him this god's trial is not for just anyone. So Oh Chang asks the obvious question why him, and his guide just dangles the answer cryptically. He figures it is a wait for the final chapter reveal, and the pen basically tells him to shut up and grind. Oh Chang mulls over his options, realizing going solo is a death wish and maybe a guild is the answer. Back on the street, his mind is locked on hitting level 5, knowing the real difficulty spike is coming. He is feeling a bit more secure with his new class, right as a news alert flashes about a total party wipe. This whole incident feels way too familiar, making him certain the dungeon collapse was a planned massacre. He knows the masterminds are on another level, and if he gets caught in their crossfire again, he is done for. With a clenched fist, Chang vows to get strong enough to never feel that powerless again. His guide then brings up the two other survivors from the morgue who apparently vanished before he woke up. But official reports are claiming 0 survivors, which means the culprits are already deep into a cover-up. This pen cheekily suggests these mystery survivors might be his old friends and that they should investigate. Their first stop on this brilliant detective journey is, of course, the local hospital. Chang strolls up to the front desk and pulls the oldest trick in the book, pretending to be a concerned relative. And it totally works, with the receptionist confirming 2 survivors as our boy flashes a smug little smile. That is when a giant, one-eyed frog monster decides to crash the party, crackling with raw energy. This lobby explodes into chaos as a red tentacle snags a screaming woman right out of the air. More frog things start popping up while the main one gets tangled in tentacles, making an absolute mess. Meanwhile, some blonde executive is chewing out her subordinate for dragging her here over a small injury. And her small injury is a massive, pulsating red tentacle wrapped around her waist. She's got her priorities straight. That executive gets immediately snatched by a tentacle, leaving her assistant to scream uselessly. Absolute chaos breaks out as the tentacle thrashes through the lobby, sending people running for their lives. Meanwhile, a group of martial artists are just chilling, dismissing a similar tentacle as a little injury. Their casual attitude evaporates instantly as they scramble to protect each other from the creature. But it is no use, as the tentacles immediately start grabbing and overwhelming them. Our boy Chang, just trying to do some detective work, is now stuck wondering why the hospital is infested, and the whole hallway becomes a nightmare as more tentacles descend, grabbing everyone in sight. A tentacle whips down right in his face, leaving him completely cornered. Except instead of death, a teleportation portal conveniently opens up right beneath him. He lands in some bizarre, dark dimension with the other victims, all of them completely lost. When one of the survivors starts screaming about something appearing up ahead, turns out they have all been dropped into a massive, ornate hall that looks straight out of a fairy tale. As golden confetti rains down, the group just stands there, trying to process the absolute absurdity of it all. While a cryptic message warns them that fairy tales are not so fun when you are an adult, a system window then confirms for Chang that everyone's arrived and their task is about to be assigned. This mission is to save the Frog Kingdom, and the win condition is getting a kiss from the princess. No, seriously. This blonde woman and her pink-haired companion are already completely unimpressed with this quest. But the buff martial artist and his buddy are disturbingly excited about kissing a princess, frog, or otherwise. His pen guide speculates this is a wild portal, advising Chang to just watch and wait for now. This system then helpfully breaks down the party, 10 adventurers and 2 very, very unlucky civilians. A couple of high-level goons are sizing up the party, absolutely thrilled to get started on some looting. While the martial artist is concerned about the civilians, these guys are confident this dungeon will be a cakewalk. They immediately try to claim all the loot for themselves, telling everyone else to get lost or die. But Chang just stands there, getting flagged as a lone wolf, which is basically a label for a troublemaker. This martial artist is still dead set on kissing the princess, while the pink-haired girl just looks so done with everything. Our boy tries to be the voice of reason, suggesting they should not rush into a portal they know nothing about. He then starts walking forward alone, which earns him a fool from one of the very offended goons. And in the next second, a hand clamps down hard on his head from behind. This goon accuses him of trying to steal their loot, completely twisting his words about being cautious. His brother joins in, mocking Chang for being a level 4 and suggesting they just crush him right now. Chang realizes he is dealing with absolute morons, but he cannot deny their grip is insanely strong. This pink-haired girl then yells at him, calling him an idiot for trying to act solo in an unregulated portal. One of the goons just smirks, clearly enjoying the opportunity to put a low-level adventurer in his place. But the buff martial artist finally steps in, grabbing the goon's arm and telling him to stop it. He just wants to clear the level carefully and also get that princess kiss, a man of simple, noble goals. This pink-haired girl then schools Chang, explaining these portals are where people get murdered for loot all the time. It finally sinks in for our boy that if someone had not intervened, he would have been toast. Meanwhile, the 2 civilians are freaking out, reminding everyone that they are not adventurers and could actually die here. So Chang tries to calm them down, claiming it is all just part of the portal's background setting, a bold-faced lie. This system then drops some lore explaining portals are just higher-dimensional mirrors projecting myths into their world. Chang tries to calm the civilians by saying it is fine, most people here are pros, which is a spectacular lie. But the blonde executive is not having it, declaring she is too important to play along and is just waiting for rescue. Her assistant and the martial artist's buddy immediately glom onto her, figuring the rich girl is their best ticket out. Watching this brilliant alliance form, Chang's pen dryly notes there are now *3 lone wolves, not 2. And then the frog princess is revealed, a massive, drooling amphibian queen as the mission officially begins. This whole party is now assembled in the grand hall, a delightful mix of terrified newbies and overconfident jerks. That martial artist's beautiful dream of kissing a princess dies a very sudden, very ugly death. He literally collapses in despair while the pink-haired girl roasts him for ever having hope in the first place. Just then, the princess makes her move, leaping from the balcony and crashing down into the middle of the room. She towers over them all, a massive, unblinking monarch ready to judge her would-be heroes. This martial artist's buddy immediately starts screaming for his team leader, which seems to be their only strategy. In the next second, some random adventurer gets tongue-snatched, yelling about an instant death sentence. A flash of red and he is gone, with the system flagging player hostility as the cause. This dungeon does not play. Another guy starts freaking out, realizing this place has absolute rules and will just delete you for breaking them. Which brings everyone to the very reasonable question of how they are supposed to survive this, let alone win. This immediate answer is to panic and run, while one of the martial artists uselessly begs everyone to stop. Meanwhile, the two loot-hungry goons are just smirking in the background, finding this whole massacre deeply entertaining. But Cheng is actually paying attention, realizing the victims were killed for insulting the princess or attacking NPCs. This rules of the game become brutally clear. Do not disrespect the princess, do not attack NPCs, and do the quest. His pen guide then drops a bombshell, confirming this is not just a portal, it is an ancient trial of the gods. This pen explains this fairy tale world system is a buggy, shattered mess, unlike the stable Underworld. Its advice is simple and self-serving. This is a divine trial, so just focus on saving yourself. Cheng hears bugs and immediately connects it to Dark Joke, a name he really hoped to never hear again. He knows if this is another one of their setups, the whole situation is about to become a total disaster. So Cheng jumps in front of the panicking crowd, yelling that trying to leave is a guaranteed death sentence. This blonde executive immediately challenges him, questioning why anyone should listen to a level 4 nobody. Our boy just stares her down, basically daring her to leave and find out what happens next. Thankfully, the pink-haired girl steps in, reminding everyone of the 3 adventurers who got deleted for breaking the rules. She gets a little too close while praising his courage, and Cheng notes she is surprisingly sharp about this whole mess. Even the 2 loot-hungry goons realize they are cornered, deciding to cooperate just to stay alive for now. This pink-haired girl then turns on Cheng, demanding his opinion before threatening him with her dad if she dies, a classic. A system window then reveals the hidden trap. Not accepting the mission within 15 minutes meant instant death. Everyone has a collective oh crap moment, realizing Cheng's intervention literally just saved all their lives. And the blonde girl is absolutely livid, yelling at him for being right and making her look like a complete fool. With everyone on board, the real mission finally drops: save the kingdom by defeating an entire insect swarm army. Cheng just looks down, steeling himself for whatever fresh hell is about to be unleashed on them. And just like that, everyone starts getting teleported away, with the blonde girl screaming in protest. One of the goons, however, is just smirking, clearly loving every second of this unpredictable chaos. This buff martial artist is less thrilled, realizing he has been paired up with a civilian, a total muggle. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl finds herself completely alone, wondering where the hell her new party went. This system lays out their new job: kill all the bugs and protect the giant frog princess. Simple enough, right? In a flash, they are teleported to a new hall, with Cheng already flaring up his power for the fight. He instantly clocks that they have been split into pairs, a classic move to crank up the difficulty. While the bugs are individually weak, there is an endless swarm, and this whole God's trial thing feels like a trap. His pen guide tells him to stop thinking and start burning, reminding him his new weapon is super mana efficient. As a horde of giant insects charges, Cheng tells the pink-haired girl to get behind him, feeling his power surge. She immediately complies, latching onto his back with a death grip, maybe a little too tight for combat. Our boy is instantly flustered, complaining he cannot move, which is not the cool hero vibe he was going for. He then unleashes a massive blast of energy, wiping out the entire first wave in a single flashy move. But in the middle of the fight, he spots something moving in the distance. It is those 2 loot-hungry goons from before, and they are straight up abandoning their post. A system alert immediately confirms the worst, because those morons bylaid their bugs are now swarming everyone else. Suddenly, the entire castle is flooded with respawning monsters, putting all the other teams in extreme danger. Cheng knows they're totally screwed. Protecting civilians from this multiplying horde is a losing battle, and right on cue, the system announces 2 deaths. The noble girl and a student are already gone. He is absolutely stunned by how fast people are dying, realizing this trial is way deadlier than he imagined. His guide screams at him to stop holding back and just unleash everything he has right now. Taking the advice, he blasts a massive wave of power that tears right through the insect swarm. They are left standing in a now empty hallway, the bugs completely vaporized by his attack. A system window then confirms their area is cleared and the mission is complete for now. This pink-haired girl is all heart ties for Cheng, but he is already focused on saving everyone else. He explains the whole point of splitting them up was to get them killed, so they have to regroup fast. Just then, a desperate voice cries out for help, asking if anyone else is still alive. It is the other female student, running for her life and screaming about being left without a partner. Cheng is just relieved she is okay, remembering she is a support mage, which explains how she is still kicking. But that also means the horde of monsters chasing her is at full, terrifying strength. Deciding he is done playing nice, Cheng unleashes another massive wave of blue energy down the hall. His attack completely vaporizes the insect swarm in a single, overwhelming blast. This new girl is stunned by his power, but Oh Chang is more concerned about being out of mana and the fact he got a notification that she died. It clicks for him when she says she got a death notification for him too. He realizes the system is sending out fake death alerts to everyone to mess with their heads. Oh Chang breaks down the whole psychological trap, make everyone think their friends are dead to crush their morale. He is absolutely furious, recognizing the familiar, twisted logic of dark joke at play here. His pen guide clarifies that dark jokes are just what adventurers call these messed up divine trials, same garbage, different name. This grim reality sets in that this portal is only going to get harder from here. A new mission objective pops up with some truly unhelpful advice: survive until the end. His pen guide finally reconnects, complaining it is exhausted and immediately asking Oh Chang for a plan. Oh Chang tells the two girls to stick together while he goes to search for any other survivors. As he runs, he figures those two loot-hungry goons are probably off trying to find the boss themselves. He opens a door and immediately finds them, or what is left of them anyway. And there they are, the two loot-hungry goons, currently getting their butts handed to them by a giant frog monster. Oh Chang is absolutely seething, knowing their greed is the reason other people are dead right now. This whole thing triggers a nasty memory of him getting stomped on, fueling his rage even more. So he steps into the boss room looking like he is about to make some very poor life choices for someone else. Meanwhile, the frog boss is getting blasted by some flashy purple magic from the two brothers. Their teamwork is just beautiful, with one screaming at the other for nearly hitting him mid-fight. But then the goon looks over, finally noticing they have company. He immediately starts yelling at Oh Chang, telling him to stay back because all the boss loot is theirs, priorities, you know. Our boy just stands there, glowing with power and not looking remotely impressed by their claims. A flashback hits him of being told that the adventurers he knew were all dead, killed for someone else's gain. This system explains this is just how it is. Adventurers are ruthless and these two are just climbing the ladder. But Oh Chang is done with that logic, declaring if they want the loot they will have to go through him first. His brothers ignore him, launching a final, coordinated attack to try and finish off the boss. Their attack connects in a massive explosion of purple energy, seemingly overwhelming the monster. And the giant frog goes down, looking like it has been completely defeated by the blast. Big Bro stands there all smug, telling his little brother to go land the final blow and claim their prize. Just as the younger goon moves in for the kill, Oh Chang silently walks up right behind him. This goon turns around, his face a perfect picture of "oh crap, I forgot about him." Oh Chang taunts him about the 5-level difference, revealing a new weapon and asking if he is sure he wants this fight. Without waiting for an answer, he unleashes a massive black spike straight at the terrified goon. This older goon dodges the spike, completely missing that Oh Chang just saved his life from a kill steal. And then the system announces the mission is a failure because the Frog Knight is now the kingdom's hero. What? Suddenly the monster stands tall, now a fully armored knight holding a sword, looking way too official for a boss. As the younger brother checks on his bro, Oh Chang realizes this whole trial just went completely sideways. Big Bro is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at the frog for stealing his kill because priorities. Oh Chang immediately activates his analysis skill, trying to get a read on this absolute disaster. He yells a warning just as the Frog Knight grabs the goon's head, proving it is not to be trifled with. Little Bro, meanwhile, is still screaming about his loot and starts charging up an attack, a true team player. He powers up a giant energy ball, convinced he can just one-shot this new problem away. This blast flies right towards the Frog Knight, who is still holding his brother hostage, by the way. Big Bro has a moment of pure terror, realizing he is about to get vaporized by his own sibling's attack. But the Frog Knight is faster, cleanly decapitating the older goon before the blast even connects. This younger brother can only watch in horror, screaming as his sibling is executed right in front of him. Oh Chang's eyes widen, taking in the sheer speed and ruthlessness of their new opponent. His system analysis confirms it. The Frog Knight is absurdly powerful and the only recommendation is to run. With his brother dead, the younger goon vows revenge, only to be immediately overpowered by the knight. This Frog Knight unleashes some kind of brutal red magic, finishing off the last of the greedy duo for good. A system window then reveals the Frog Knight's real mission: cover up a rebellion and become the hero. Oh Chang is stunned, finally understanding the twisted game they have been forced into. And the final objective is a gut punch. The Frog Knight has to kill all the heroes to win, meaning them. Oh Chang realizes he is somehow seeing the Frog Knight's mission panel and its next target is him. This martial artist is still totally confused about the mission failure, but Oh Chang knows something is very wrong. He screams a warning as the Frog Knight brings its massive sword crashing down on the group. Its first target is the buff martial artist, who is having a complete meltdown about being singled out, so brave. Thankfully, the support mage student hits it with a curse just in the nick of time. This just pisses the knight off, who immediately turns its attention to the support mage instead. Oh Chang jumps in, blasting the knight with a wave of energy to save her. This attack barely even scratches it, with the knight just looking down like it felt a mosquito bite. It then effortlessly dodges another strike, showing off some absolutely insane speed. A dark aura flares up as it declares Oh Chang is officially a dead man walking. Our boy just taunts it right back, basically saying bring it on, even if he cannot understand frog speak. With no other choice, he charges straight into the fight, closing the distance in a flash. This frog knight just waits for him, sword held high and ready to counter. Then it brings its sword down with terrifying force, sporting a grin that is just pure nightmare fuel. That massive blade comes crashing down, looking like it is about to split him in two, and he gets sent flying backwards from the sheer force of the blow, screaming from the impact. He somehow blocked it, but the impact made his teeth go numb and the sword does not even have a scratch. Another heavy blow sends him skidding back, tearing up the castle floor just trying to stay upright. He is pouring every ounce of strength he has into his defense, but the knight's attacks are just too fast and heavy. Pinned down and out of options, Chang can only watch as the frog knight raises its sword for the final blow. Chang somehow manages to block the frog knight's massive swing with his weapon. This sheer force of the blow sends him flying backwards, smashing right into the castle wall. But hey, the knight is seeing cartoon stars, so at least the block actually did something. And right on cue, the support mage hits him with a full heal and a much-needed mana restore. That daze does not last long though, as the frog knight is already back on its feet and looking angry. This girl's rush to his side, with the martial artist immediately complaining about the lack of a rescue party. Chang explains the grim truth. This knight is a bug in the system, and its mission is to kill them all to become the hero. When asked how he knows, he points out their party composition and asks the support mage about her buff items. She confirms she has a magic bag but insists hiding is the only sane option since he is hurt. Chang shuts that down fast, reminding them the knight's insane speed makes running totally impossible. He breaks down the math. The knight is as strong as the goons but way faster, which is exactly why they got wiped. Still, he sees an opening, pointing out they have a buffer and a siren for crowd control, much to the support mage's surprise. He admits he cannot read its level, but with proper teamwork they might just stand a chance. His pen guide, however, is having a complete meltdown, convinced they are all doomed and blaming itself for the mission. Despite the beating, Chang looks totally focused, earning a comment about trying to look cool in a crisis. This martial artist is clearly skeptical, wondering if this kid is just being delusional. But the pink-haired girl is all in, declaring she trusts his judgment if fighting is their only path to survival. This support mage, on the other hand, thinks they have all lost their minds for even considering it. Chang just states the obvious: if they run, they die, simple as that. And her inner monologue reveals her master plan: let them be shields while she waits for help, a real team player. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, a corporate manager gets a list of everyone who got sucked into the hospital portal. This guy is panicking because a dungeon collapse would mean massive casualties and the end of his career. To make matters worse, his tablet shows 2 VIPs from the Elven Guild and Golden Consortium are also trapped inside. And by VIPs, he means the heir of the Golden Consortium and his sister, which explains why his phone is blowing up. He is about to call the association for help when his phone rings. It is good news apparently, because the agent he sent to watch Chang is now trapped in there with him. This manager sees a golden opportunity for Chang to die accidentally while he organizes a rescue for the rich kids. A mysterious voice chimes in though, promising that our boy is not going to die this time. Turns out the manager's on the phone with some smug, red-haired guy who calls him an idiot for his lazy plan. This new player, looking way too relaxed, offers to give his friend Jin a little suggestion. Jin, the manager, just smirks back, looking every bit the corrupt tycoon's son he is. Then we jump to a Q&A session asking about the most op mage class in the game. It is a Divine Punisher, a class so rare there is only one in the whole country, alongside some basic portal rules. Suddenly, Chang's pen guide is right in his face, screaming that it has noticed he has a problem. Apparently, it is super pissed because it got chewed out in the underworld when Chang almost died, so it is lecture time. This pen calls him out for being a book-smart theorist with zero practical combat sense. It then asks him how exactly he has been able to solo bosses when he should not stand a chance. Our boy knows the power gap is huge, even at the same level as he channels his energy. But his guide shuts that down, saying he did not win, he just got lucky and had good skills, showing the receipts. It calls him a cocky muggle, saying it is normal for a newbie to get a big head, but he needs a reality check. This pen guide decides it is lecture time, dropping 2 crucial points for Chang's survival. Its first point is a brutal one. Chang has no clue what the massive gaps between levels actually mean. Beating that whale-headed boss apparently gave him a huge ego, making him totally misjudge his enemies. This pen lays out the grim math. A team of level 5s has 0 chance against a monster that is a true level 9. Then it just flat out asks what on earth he was thinking trying to fight this thing. All the while, the frog knight just stands there looking entirely too pleased with itself. Their martial artist is getting absolutely blasted, trying to tank the knight's attacks head-on. This pink-haired girl admits she is a weak support class, but Chang just tells her to keep it distracted. She is completely baffled, wondering why a level 4 is so confident, especially since he knows her class is manipulation. But with no other options on the table, she decides she just has to put her faith in the kid. This martial artist apologizes for failing to block everything, but Chang says it is fine, the plan is working. And he is right, because the frog knight is glowing with rage, looking like it is about to lose its temper. This pen's lecture resumes, explaining that adventure levels are not some clean system with hard numbers. It is all based on precedent, with adventurers themselves defining the standards for monsters and portals. In this system, leveling up just means a noticeable boost in your main class abilities. For example, a fighter's strength and speed stats will visibly increase on their attribute panel. This means the bigger the level gap, the harder it is to even stand a chance in a fight. This general theory is that a 3-level difference makes a fight nearly impossible for the weaker person. However, there is a catch. Skill advantages and class counters can completely change the outcome. If you're skilled or fast enough, you can dominate an opponent even with equal stats, which is Oh Chang's entire gamble. This pen's lecture continues, flashing back to Oh Chang's own intense training and his thoughts on power. He admits that just a week ago, taking on a monster of this level would have been a complete death sentence. But now he is actually dodging its attacks, using his Paperman shield to absorb a massive flame blast. He knows full well that with the current level gap, one clean hit would instantly tear him to shreds. His advantage, though, comes from hitting the books. His unquenchable flame is a skill no one else has, and unlike that whale boss, this knight does not have thick skin, making it way more vulnerable to his fire. This biggest ace up his sleeve is that the knight has zero clue about his flames or his Paperman decoys. Then the pen guide drops its second, even more critical point for survival in this messed up world. It is a lesson in battlefield tactics. The weaker side must wait for the strong to act first, creating an opening. Back in the fight, Oh Chang is taking damage while blocking, but he is holding on for that exact moment. This martial artist, meanwhile, is getting absolutely launched, serving as the world's most painful distraction. Seeing an opening, the Frog Knight raises its flaming sword to finish the job. But it is totally confused when it cannot shake the blue flames off its own weapon, a trick it has never seen. Oh Chang grins through the pain, noticing the knight's movements are finally starting to slow down. He screams for the enchanter to use her skill and distract it while it is off balance. His inner monologue reveals he has had the support mage pegged from the start as someone who uses others as shields. He even saw her use a substitute curse to force the martial artist to tank a hit meant for her, a real team player. And speak of the devil, she is already bailing with the pink-haired girl who is having some serious second thoughts. This support mage just pokes her in the head, calling her annoying for even suggesting they go back and help. Her logic is flawless, really. Why risk her own life when she can just let everyone else die for her? This pink-haired girl, meanwhile, is just annoyed her brother has not sent a rescue squad yet. Priorities, people. Back in the fight, a sword flies through the air with blinding speed. It slams right into the cobblestone, glowing with a strange green energy. And Oh Chang uses it as an anchor, launching himself forward to strike a vital point. He goes straight for the head, trying to land the one-hit kill he desperately needs. But the Frog Knight just snatches the blade out of the air, its speed suddenly off the charts. Oh Chang gets slashed across the chest, unable to fully dodge the lightning-fast counter. He hits the ground hard as the knight looms over him, ready to finish the job. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light erupts from a different angle, distracting the beast. This pink-haired girl is back, explaining a Paperman took the hit and a stat boost pill is the only thing keeping him in one piece. This Frog Knight finally notices the support mage has vanished, looking around in total confusion. It stares down the empty street, probably wondering where its other punching bag went. A quick mental calculation confirms 2 of its 4 targets have fled. Simple frog math. With a sharp turn, it locks onto its remaining prey with renewed focus. This pink-haired girl panics that it'll chase them, but Oh Chang just tells her to stay calm. He knows they need the support mage's power, but also realizes she will just abandon them again. A close-up on his eye shows he is not giving up, already working on a new angle. Then we cut to a random bollard at night with a voice wondering why it cannot be released. And we are back to the pen guide's lecture, telling Oh Chang he is using his skills all wrong. It explains his original flame was the literal source of all hellfire, and his new version burns both flesh and soul. This pen guide explains his hellfire is literally born from souls, which it uses as fuel. So naturally, Oh Chang tries to activate it by puffing out his cheeks and holding his breath, and he immediately gets a well-deserved smack upside the head for that brilliant move. His guide calls him a theory-obsessed nerd, asking why on earth he thinks magic is a breathing exercise. Our boy just whines that it worked before, looking completely pathetic and confused. This pen explains that combat classes feel the flow of mana and skills instinctively. You have to actually guide the mana with your body, and Oh Chang is taking notes like it is a pop quiz. When asked to recall the feeling, he admits he has never consciously used his flames, just kinda winged it. His guide is in total despair, calling him hopeless for trying to use hellfire without actually channeling anything. This raises the million-dollar question: how can you see the souls if the engine is not even on? This answer is simple: mana is the engine of a skill and he needs to finally turn the key. So he enters this mental space, searching through a dark warehouse for the source of his power. His focus sharpens as he closes in on his target, determined to find it. And there it is, a literal engine inside him, just waiting to be ignited. With a mental push, the hellfire starts flowing for the first time under his direct control. Back in the present, he suddenly collapses to the ground, much to the pink-haired girl's alarm. She rushes to his side, totally panicked and asking what is wrong with him. He feels a massive drain, realizing he just burned through more than half his mana in an instant. His guide gives a dire warning to never let this skill run dry, but Oh Chang is still confused about the cost. But the pen clarifies it is not just mana, this upgraded power is burning something far more vital. With his new power unlocked, Oh Chang's eyes flare with an intense blue light. His entire perception of the world shifts, the colors inverting as he sees everything differently. Through this new lens, he locks onto the Frog Knight mid-leap with perfect clarity. It is not just the monster anymore, he is seeing its literal soul glowing and vulnerable. Back in the real world, the support mage and her new bestie are still booking it for the exit. This pink-haired girl desperately tries to shake Chang out of his power-up trance, but our boy is fully in the zone, his eyes now blazing with untamed hellfire. In a shocking twist, the support mage aims her wand right at the girl on the ground. Just kidding, she actually fires a massive energy blast straight at the Frog Knight instead. Her attack seems to trigger Chang's power, engulfing the knight in soul-eating flames. This monster is reduced to a mere silhouette, completely trapped inside the swirling darkness, and Chang can see it all, watching as the knight's very soul burns away. This new skill is a massive gas guzzler, though, instantly draining his mana to almost nothing. Dark flames erupt across the battlefield, forcing the cowardly support mage to hit the deck. He just needs to hold on for a few more seconds to finish the job. At the heart of the inferno is a single, concentrated wisp of pure blue hellfire. That tiny flame is absolutely shredding the knight from the inside out, revealing its core. A dark silhouette against the blaze, his only thought is to burn it all down. This frog knight begins to crumble into ash, its final cry cut short, when his pen guide materializes out of nowhere, screaming at him to stop this madness. His pen guide is absolutely losing it, screaming that he told him not to run out of mana. This pink-haired girl is in total shock, wondering who has a flame skill that literally eats the user alive. This guide keeps yelling for him to cut the mana flow before he turns himself into a pile of ash. Chang grits his teeth through the agony, trying to force the soul fire to just dissipate already. He finally manages to extinguish the flames, but his entire arm is a charred, smoking mess. Seeing him wrecked, the pink-haired girl rushes over to try and heal him up. But her magic does absolutely nothing. His mana bar is sitting at a big fat 0. A system window pops up announcing the Frog Knight is toast, dropping a sword and a new conspiracy quest. Suddenly, a massive pillar of light slams down from the sky, signaling a level up for our boy. He should be fully recovered, but Chang feels nothing, his burns still searing his skin. Meanwhile, his guide is having a moment, admitting it totally underestimated the kid's capacity for chaos. It realizes this whole insane fight was just a stepping stone for whatever Chang is planning. And deep down, there is something in him that is neither good nor evil, just pure, terrifying potential. Then the pen just gives up trying to analyze him, too much work, apparently. Elsewhere, the support mage who Bylade is suddenly screaming her head off in pure agony. Her eyes are bleeding as she stumbles around, completely blind and demanding to know where the monster is. She is desperately calling for anyone to help her, totally lost and alone in the aftermath. From above, we see just how isolated she is in the empty courtyard. Karma's a real treat. Back with Chang, a system window congratulates him on surviving and offers a settlement. He just stares at the screen, barely processing the fact that he actually lived through that nightmare. A system warning flashes, a bug has occurred, and the Frog Princess is now furious about her dead knight. Everyone looks completely stunned, especially the support mage who is still blind and screaming about what is happening. This entire mansion begins to shake violently, signaling the arrival of something way, way worse. From high above, a colossal white shape descends into the courtyard, dwarfing everything around it. And there she is, the level 13 Frog Princess, glaring down at them like they are an appetizer. Their new mission is to get a kiss from her, which the system has helpfully pre-labeled as a failure. Elsewhere, a man in a suit checks his watch, annoyed that the association's rescue team is late. This is Og, the president of the Golden Consortium, and he is waiting impatiently by a swirling red portal. A ridiculously buff guy with spiky red hair finally steps through, looking ready for a war. Back with our heroes, Chang and the pink-haired girl are running for their lives from the giant frog mom. She even summons a swarm of smaller frog minions because this situation clearly was not bad enough. Chang manages to pull the girl to safety, though she still gets grazed and ends up with a fracture. His pen guide is having a complete meltdown, basically calling him a walking calamity for triggering a world bug. With his arm still a charred wreck, Chang wishes he could just use his hellfire embers again, but it is no use. He cannot feel any mana flowing at all, completely drained after going all out against the knight. Our boy laments his terrible luck, wondering why every single dungeon trip has to be a total disaster. This frog princess brings her giant foot down, about to turn them into a stain on the pavement. But a massive fist intercepts the attack, stopping the stomp dead in its tracks. This sheer force of the punch sends the colossal frog boss flying backward across the courtyard. Their rescuer has arrived, casually asking for the Golden Group's heir after literally smashing through the dungeon's barrier to get in. This rescuer asks if he has found the Golden Group's heir, but she just says nope and points elsewhere. And there they are, the support mage face-planting while her new friend just stands there. Calling out to the duo, the girl in red immediately sells out her injured companion. Back with the main group, the pink-haired girl wisely suggests maybe killing the giant frog first, but our rescuer is on a tight schedule. With a sigh, he decides to just handle the VIP himself, leaving our heroes in the dust. Meanwhile, the frog princess is just looking down like, where did my punching bag go? Its attention snaps right back to Chang and the girl, tendrils glowing with murderous intent. A rescuer scoops up both girls, complaining about annoying rich people the entire time while being chased by a giant frog. Then he just launches himself across the entire courtyard, carrying two people like it is nothing. Landing perfectly, he gets an earful from the actual heir for taking too long. The entitlement is real. His face just screams, I am so not paid enough for this. As the frog princess closes in, the air is still just screaming, "Get me out of here." This buff guy effortlessly dodges a massive swipe, still carrying his very demanding cargo, before punting the giant frog boss away like it is a soccer ball. God damn it. This abandoned trio can only watch, absolutely fuming at the rescue that left them to die. Their rescuer finally turns to Oh Chang, already diagnosing the situation as a bugged quest with an overleveled monster. He explains the simplest way to fix a level-breaking bug is to just eliminate it, as a terrifying aura manifests behind him. Oh Chang is just stunned, realizing this guy is a veteran who has seen it all before. Now the only question left is just how overwhelmingly powerful this guy actually is, because he is standing there ready to solo the boss that nearly wiped out their entire party. This rescuer unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, carving up the frog princess like a Thanksgiving turkey. With one final, brutal swipe, the overleveled boss is completely annihilated. Problem solved. A system window confirms the kill but also announces they failed the mission, which is just peak irony. Turning to Oh Chang, the rescuer smirks, asking if he is the one who fixed the last bug. He is impressed a level 5 could do so much, deducing our boy is something special just by looking at him. Oh Chang is having a crisis, realizing the massive power gap between his desperate struggle and this guy's one-shot victory. This rescuer cuts right to the chase, demanding to know what Oh Chang's profession is. Using an insight skill, he pulls up Oh Chang's stats only to find his profession is listed as unknown. This piques everyone's curiosity, with the pink-haired girl wondering what kind of class has such a weird skill set. Oh Chang's pen guide frantically warns him not to say a word, forcing him to scramble for a believable lie. This guide's brilliant tactical advice is just to scream "run," leaving Oh Chang to wonder where he is supposed to go. As the emergency exit portal swirls ominously, it seems like their only way out of this mess. This rescued heir is still having a full-blown panic attack, just screaming to be teleported out immediately. Their rescuer agrees, telling everyone to escape now and sort out the details later. But just as Oh Chang is about to make a break for it, the buff guy stops him cold. He brings up industry-standard loot-sharing rules for emergency portals. Business is business, I guess. This pink-haired girl is totally on board, grateful to be alive and promising to get his name later. Waving them off, the rescuer sends them on their way as Oh Chang gets a settlement notification from the system. Oh Chang walks toward the exit, reflecting on all the adventurers who died and will not be getting a share. This veteran gives him some parting wisdom. Do not sweat the casualties, just use the loot to get stronger. Oh Chang mulls over the rescuer's words, wondering what this level 10 threshold even is. A quick system tutorial explains dungeon ranks, with sea-level portals being the gateway for level 10 players. Turns out sea-level portals are also a notorious death trap for newbies, filled with bugs and a high injury rate. It finally clicks for our boy, this whole adventure gig is a massive gamble and he has been playing it safe. His only thought now is how the spoils from this disaster will make him stronger. With new resolve, Oh Chang decides there is no more room for hesitation. He is just completely and utterly sick of feeling powerless all the time. This buff rescuer claps him on the shoulder, saying he's got another mission to attend to. But Oh Chang's internal alarm is blaring because this guy smells overwhelmingly of death. Then the rescuer just slaps him across the face, somehow completing a hidden objective. What the hell? A menacing red aura flares around his fist, a clear sign of the power he has been hiding. He tells Oh Chang it is a pity he survived, claiming that those who live by luck are the truly unfortunate ones. Back in the real world, the survivors finally stumble out of the portal to a waiting crowd. An association official immediately tries to get a statement for the record, just standard procedure. But a man in a suit pulls rank, prioritizing the Golden Group's heir, who is now asking for her brother. Nearby, a red-haired girl in a school uniform frantically tries to keep her friend from spilling any secrets. She plays it off as just being worried, while her friend looks like she has been crying her eyes out. At the swirling red portal, someone wonders why the rest of the party has not emerged yet. A report comes in that a key individual is out, but 2 others are still inside the dungeon. In a nearby car, the Golden Consortium's president sighs in relief, thinking the incident is finally over. Elsewhere, a man in a suit frets that his scheme of using portals to kill off waste adventurers is getting risky. Especially after the East Corridor incident, where a pile of bodies turned up, raising a few red flags. But he figures as long as Oh Chang is dead, his powerful connections will keep him out of trouble. Back in the dungeon, that thought manifests as the rescuer's attack seemingly blows Oh Chang's head clean off. This red-haired assassin looks on, confident that he has just eliminated the problem for good. As Oh Chang's body hits the ground, his little pen guide pops into existence looking panicked. It stares at a system window warning of imminent player death, which is never a great sign. Suddenly, a mysterious horned entity appears in some dark void, asking what to do now. It argues with another shadowy being that they absolutely must keep Oh Chang alive or all hope is lost. This entity pleads for help, promising to only use one finger while its companion completely ignores it. This second figure, a cloaked being, just complains it is not suited for this and wants to be left alone. Down below, Oh Chang's lifeless body lies in the desolate courtyard, a grim scene indeed. Then a hand surrounded by purple energy touches his wound as the cloaked entity remarks on a familiar feeling. This feeling of absolute control completely stuns the rescuer, who cannot believe Oh Chang is not dead yet. He is totally baffled, wondering why a ghost is suddenly crashing his assassination gig, because Oh Chang's headless corpse is now rising to its feet, wreathed in an unholy purple aura. He stands tall, a vortex of pure, terrifying energy where his head should be. This rescuer feels an overwhelming pressure, questioning how a level 5 is still moving after being decapitated. Up in the void, the horned entity orders the pen guide to subdue Oh Chang, saying it can only pause the system briefly. It then mocks the pen for getting sentimental, apparently not realizing its friend just got possessed by a cosmic horror. This pen guide comes crashing down, ready to smack some sense back into Oh Chang's possessed, headless body. Meanwhile, the assassin is just staring at this headless horror, probably rethinking all his life choices. A new, smug-looking entity shows up, warning that Oh Chang's body is about to expire if they do not hurry. This pen guide internally monologues about how Oh Chang is a walking contradiction, brave one second, a total coward the next. A quick flashback confirms it, showing him getting wrecked and terrified most of the time. To save him, the guide apparently ripped his soul out and sealed it in his disembodied head. It is still trying to figure out why Oh Chang, who never mourned his friends, got so mad for total strangers. This guide is having a full-blown existential crisis over which version of Oh Chang is the real one. But there is no time for that, as it congratulates itself on a job well done for now. This job well done involves slapping talismans that say alive all over his face, which is just fantastic. As the seals burn away, his soul is violently shoved back into his system. Oh Chang wakes up completely disoriented, and the pen guide is like, "Oh boy, have I got news for you." It explains that the system could not warn them about the assassin because he was in a divine trial. But our boy remembers everything, stating with grim certainty that the rescuer was there to kill him. He gets that familiar, sinking feeling of being targeted again, and the pen guide listens. This guide breaks down the conspiracy. His enemies are powerful enough to hire a level 17 assassin and get away with it. It explains that adventurers that strong are not easily bought, meaning whoever is behind this has serious influence. If the truth ever came out, it would ruin them, which just proves how high the stakes are. Oh Chang is left wondering why someone so powerful would go to such insane lengths to kill him. This pen guide tells him to shelve the paranoia for now and asks what his next move is. Oh Chang wakes up in the underworld, and his guide's first helpful tip is to maybe reattach his head. Apparently his last death was an unexpected one that let him bypass the system's normal procedures, but this time the system judged him a failure and was just waiting for his life signs to fade completely. This only problem for the system is that his life signs are stubbornly refusing to disappear. His guide explains someone is stalling for time, which is great, except the assassin is still waiting to kill him again. With no time to waste, he is being shoved into a second trial to get strong enough to survive. This trial is in the void where time is slow, which makes Oh Chang question the whole "we are in a hurry" thing. This pen guide lays it on him straight. Even if he gets back, that assassin is waiting to finish the job. So the goal is to become strong enough to fight multiple powerful enemies, or at least have the strength to run away. Then a truly insane training regimen appears, listing everything from push-ups to mastering ancient combat styles. Our boy is just staring at the impossible list, wondering how he is supposed to do all this. His guide, now sporting some very unsettling lips, says there is no way out and it is time to meet his coach. As the guide vanishes, Oh Chang is left alone, wondering if his new coach is some kind of ghost. Suddenly, he gets a horrible sense of déjà vu, realizing this whole setup feels terrifyingly familiar. A massive chain door bursts open and some poor sap gets blasted out like a ragdoll. After the body crashes to the ground, Oh Chang is just left wondering what the hell is going on. From the darkness, a hand pushes the heavy door aside, revealing the glint of a weapon. He is completely horrified as the guide's voice reminds him that these are his old acquaintances. And walking out from the shadows is a woman with long, flowing white hair, looking ready for a fight, followed by another with sharp purple hair and glowing eyes who seems just as intimidating. So yeah, his new coaches are a warrior who never skips leg day and her ghostly-looking partner.